same routine as for every game. So every game the players get their nails checked and no jewelry and all the rest of it, and it's just part of the protocol. So you get to a stage when you just say, just live with it, really. Yes, Catherine Latu, she's obviously with the Bay of Island team. Like I said, indicated earlier, she has two nieces within the team. One the surname is Latu, the other one is Defhoff as well. They're playing centre and goal defence collectively, so she'll obviously have an interest in them as well as the total team. I love the way they're lining up as if the national anthems are going to be played. It's cute. And I look at the umpires and boy, are they school?
Yeah, they're secondary school students as well.
How good is that? And are they from all different schools as well?
Yeah, they are.
Throughout Upper North Island.
Correct, yeah.
So does every team bring their own umpire along, or are the umpires allocated?
No, the teams are responsible for bringing their own umpires, and they must have a minimum of a centre award to attend. But we have got right up to New Zealand B qualified umpires here.
And the centre, like the centre awards, is that also regulated as a set thing, or does every centre have their own award structure?
No, that's a Netball New Zealand qualification. It's sort of the start of the pathway.
Intensity out there, isn't it? Everyone's gone totally quiet. And again, both teams here will be looking. Oh, good D, good defence work. Came not sure what to call. Oh, out of court. Yeah, she came around at the last moment. Obviously must have been out of court. But again, a high ball over, and certainly Bay of Island quick to capitalise on that. What a pass. Game situation, goal shoot. For Bay of Island College, Tautari having a shot, easy shot, but nevertheless make the most of the opportunities.
Bay of Island's had a close game this morning in the semi-final to come through, so they've had a tough game this morning. Auckland Diocesan were a little bit easier, but.
Which means Bay of Island College knows that, because it was harder for them, now they're in a situation, let's make the most of this opportunity that we've managed to get, whereas obviously Auckland Dio, probably a little bit more, I guess, what's the word, they know that they've earned their right to be here, and maybe just a little bit casual in their first approach. I mean, it's 3-0 right now to the Bay of Islands.
The Auckland Diocesan were really disappointed to be relegated down to C grade last year, and so they've fought really hard all week to things. So they've already earned their spot back up in B grade. It'll just be whether they can finish off the final.
Yeah, and if you get to this stage, you've worked hard all week, it is about the final, you know. And I know that you talk about being tired and everything, but this is the time when you've got to lift yourself, you know. And this is it's about pride, actually, more than anything else. Pride and performance.
It'll be the pride that'll carry them through after a long week.
Yep. Still think Auckland Diocesan is a little bit hesitant on attack. See how they're holding on to the ball, looking to see where they should pass it. No, so again, there is no ball speed, which really allows the Bay of Islands to set up defence. And that situation was that Dryden was about to go out of court and pass the ball, but to the opposition. A lot of turnovers at this early stage. It was a nice shot, actually. Nice high arc. I mean, we didn't actually see it go in initially, but it looked like it was always going to go in. It was just the right type of shot. Some of the shooters actually, when they shoot, they aim for the ring. You actually have a look at a good shooter. The ball will arc way above the ring and then come straight down. And I think the higher the arc and the higher, the more the defender is unable to get a possession of it. And also the shot now is actually quite high. There's a very high action shot, and we need to do that now. We used to be way back. You know, the shot used to be just above your head or slightly in front. Can't do that anymore because defenders obviously now have an opportunity of defending the shot.
I mean, an example of that is Ekanasio. She has a really high arc on her shot.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant. Aussie shooter. You know, the Australians they've perfected that. Australians, though, that's the one thing. Two things they practice heaps right from primary school, and that is the high shot, the high arc, and also defensively, it's the hands over the ball. They actually practice that. I try and get that out of our players because I love going for an intercept. I love, seeing players attack the ball. Whereas if you actually do the hands over, I then question who actually is going for an intercept if everyone's focused on the hands over. So I like a combination. At the moment, there is not a lot of hands over here. Everyone's preferring to mark the spaces deep.
They seem to be taking a lot longer in this game to settle than they did in the previous game.
It seems a slower pace, doesn't it? Even the crowd's very quiet. Yeah, nice interplay.
Certainly the Hawani Waititi crowd livened the place up.
That's better. Yeah, wrong. I'm not sure what the call was, though. I thought that was a pretty good tip-on. I mean, there was a misunderstanding between Auckland Diocesan shooters, but I'm not sure on the call. Yeah, again, wayward play, just a bit too fast now. And, just wayward call. Now, it'd be really interesting. In a situation, Dio has to capitalise on this. They need players available to the ball. See this? And again, 3 seconds, and it's because they're caught trying to find players. Someone needs to be square up to the ball so you can pass to them and do what I call a pass and cut so that, again, you keep the ball short and sharp. 8-2 to Bay of Islands. Yeah, step and call. I wasn't going to say anything before, and I wasn't sure the umpire was going to call it, but certainly it was a stepping there. What she did, she landed on her front foot, but unfortunately took one too many steps. Again, see, this is where Auckland's got to turn around and just let that ball go.
The ball passes are almost a little bit floaty. It's giving plenty of opportunity for Bay of Islands to come through onto them.
Yeah, absolutely. And the longer you keep ball in hand, the easier it is for them then to place themselves in such a position to go for the defence. And again, being held onto the ball. Having to play the ball right the way back. Yeah, better play. Held the space well. Dryden then, but again, needs to finish it off. Again, see, not high enough arc. See how the ball is touching the rim. She really needs to have that ball just have more height on that pass, on that shot rather. Nice pass again. Opportunity for Cooper, and nails the shot. Breaking call. No excuse for that. You know, it's not about beating your opposition off the line. It's about skills. So again, opportunity now for Auckland Dyer to gain a pass here. Also, it's their next centre passer. So just like that, they could have got 4 goals in a row. But again, mistake being made. Yeah, good. I thought it was a good pass, actually. I think she actually jumped backwards for that pass. I actually thought it was a good pass. But she's going to get credited for a bad pass.
Ooh, stationary again.
Yeah.
That defender to come through.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with safety on attack, but you've got to have movement as the attacker. See, again, look at the mistakes being made. Like, really, Bay of Islands get a ton of ball, but they're not capitalising on it. That was good placement passing. And yet after all that, the score is only 8-5, you know. And if you look at the possession that Bay of Islands have had, you'd think that they were way ahead. 3 goals is nothing. Only just on a minute to go, so really this is a time when Auckland Diocesan really needs to capitalise on that going into the second quarter. Yeah, good pass into space. Again, utilising circle edge well. Yep, wants to get close to the post. But really should have shot that last one. Okay, 43 seconds to go. Oh, if they're quick, they can still get this in and then also their centre pass off. So just like that, they actually could draw level if they really move it. Not sure, ball's being taken away from them. This is what I'm saying. It's just lost opportunities for Auckland Diocesan at the moment. Again, opportunity, 10 seconds to go. They may just get this one. They will not get their centre pass off. Oh, shot. Wow. Yep, but now they just need to delay it slightly so the centre pass off doesn't go. Yep. And that's something some players are not aware of, the actual time towards the end of the game, you know. And sometimes with like 5 seconds to go, they rush into the centre circle. And that's actually the time you just should slow it down slightly. So quarter time, the score, I can't remember what the score is now. Anyway, Bay of Island College is just ahead, 8-7. Yeah, I thought it was just ahead. Whereas you wouldn't have thought that if you just looked at the game. You actually would have thought Bay of Island College would have been a few goals ahead of that. But Auckland Dio has slowly pegged it back, really. So hopefully now both teams will just settle into the second quarter and really show their worth. Interesting, they stay standing. Some teams prefer to sit down at the breaks. Really, with 2 minutes, you know, there's no reason why you can't just stand. Interesting, Catherine Latu isn't doing a lot of talking at the moment. You know, she would normally, you know, she's passionate about the game and she'd have quite a bit to say. And I think it's just wonderful that she's involved in schoolgirls netball up at this time.
Well, she was from the Bay of Islands, yes. Obviously home for her. I'm sure she'll be really enjoying being involved at this level as well.
Oh, notice players doing a lot of the talking in groups. It's a very fine line because at the end of the day, all you want all the players to do their own job, know their own responsibilities, and then just work within a team. Here you've got a situation in the Bay of Islands. Kat Latu is doing a lot of the talking to the team. And I don't have a problem with that. She's seeing on the sideline and seeing what's happening out on court as a total unit, you know, and I think it's a great thing to have. Auckland Dio has made a couple of changes. Tegan Scott has gone into goal defence. and the goal defence, who has gone into goalkeeper. Really tall player. Fatani, so she's gone into, Natasha has gone into goalkeeper, and I thought she would have been a goalkeeper. Not just because of her height, but she just looked, in a way, like a goalkeeper. So it's going to be interesting to see how she goes now. Already got the ball in hand. Now, late intercept, contact called. See how long it took for the centre to pass the ball to the goal attack then, to Cooper, who really was totally free on that first second, and that hesitation can cost you. Nevertheless, 8-all. Obviously, Auckland Dio has been told to be available to the ball, have a look at it. Players are coming closer to the ball, keeping it short, and they have increased the pace slightly. Whoa, high ball. Yeah, ball out of court. Now, you could have said that the ball was over a third then because it was untouched in that goal third. But because the opposition got the ball, it's basically just play advantage. That's why she actually looked at the umpire to see whether a call was going to be made. Had she done that for 3 seconds, she would have called for a hell ball. So this is the advantage that we're trying to play into the game. And players just need to know the rules. So these two umpires that are on the game now, have they been umpiring all week as well?
Yeah, all the umpires that we'll see today have all been here all week. So it's been awarded, appointed to the final as a real reward for them.
Now, the umpires that have come with these teams, so obviously this is the C grade, would those umpires have an opportunity of umpiring higher grades, or will they only umpire in these grades? And do they only umpire their own teams, or do they get mixed around?
No, the umpires are, they all come in as individuals, and they're appointed to games based on their ability and their performance over the week. Sometimes they may end up umpiring their own team, but there's no intention around that. It's just purely where they've ended up based on their performance.
Yeah, we still have that contention, like, do you get the best umpires or do you get neutral umpires? And we have this right up to the senior level. I've been involved with when Australia playing New Zealand, and we had an Australian umpire and a New Zealand umpire. Didn't work at that time. It just didn't work, and almost became one umpire would make a call and another umpire would make a call. And at some stage what we need is a pool of umpires, whether it's at school level, whatever level, just have a pool of umpires. And when you say it's the 20 best umpires from the region, and don't have them associated with anything, don't have them associated with a school or a region or whatever, or a country, and they're just the best umpires, and then allocate accordingly. And I think that really should be the way to go, and that way it also doesn't prevent the umpires from actually stepping up. Like a New Zealand umpire from New Zealand will never umpire New Zealand like at a World Champ, so they may never get an opportunity of umpiring the final, whereas if they were in a pool, even at this level, if they're in a pool, they get opportunities. (11-9) to Bay of Islands. So still really close game. And it still looks like a nervous game, doesn't it?
He's still quite hesitant.
See, they're the goal attack. Cooper, she was available, but she had the ball and then threw it out, but then took it again in almost the same spot. And that's why players are reluctant to do that pass again, because of the fact you actually haven't gained ground. Again, you have a situation Auckland Dio setting up, but they need players available. See how they've set up and then they become available to the ball. I think they should set up and be available right from the start, because that will give the passer confidence. Situation. Yeah, and I would have called the same. In that situation, the shooter, she felt that the defender was too close and basically faked the ball. Listen, any shooter that fakes the ball twice, I think, generally speaking, is going to be caught for a held ball. Why? Because the timing is taken from the time you catch the ball, not from the time that you turn around and decide that you're actually going to take a shot at goal. And I think sometimes that is ruled inconsistently. And you know that because on the sideline, how many times have you heard people scream out held ball just to get the umpire's attention? But I think the umpiring's been really good. I've really been impressed with these youngsters.
We've had a really large panel of umpire coaches working at all levels, so I think there's been about 16 of them working around coaching the umpires all week. So the aim has been that they each umpire in the first 3 days. So after 6 games, they were supposed to have been coached 4 times and had feedback. And additionally, so many of these umpires, this will be one of the few opportunities that they'll have to be coached by some of the senior coaches. So there's members of the NZUDG, which is the Netball New Zealand Umpire Development Group. So it's a good opportunity for, especially if they're from out of town and don't have those sort of people floating around their local centres.
Yeah, because you've got to question sometimes what's in it for the umpire. You know, I mean, it's quite a lonely task. You know, you can say you're part of the team. What team? You could come from all the different regions. You're not part of the actual team that's out on court. You can't afford to be. You can get to know them, but you can't afford to be part of them. You know, and it is tough. And to see these youngsters out there, I think it's just brilliant. I mean, we cannot have this game without umpires, and they actually need to. And some people question me saying that, but they need to be treated better. And we all get involved. I get involved, you know. But that's because we're all so passionate about the game. But we've all got a responsibility in the game as well. And I'd love to, for instance, see far more coach-umpire seminars together, because then it is about working together. And I think that's what's needed. Meantime, 13-9, Bay of Islands slowly have just edged past, whereas you can't really say a specific action has caused this. It's just has happened, really. And again, there's a situation. Those are the things where Bay of Islands have capitalised on their opportunities, because that ball really was badly directed. Yeah, good hold. Really hard to defend. And I'm surprised she came from the outside. Normally you would have gone inside out to keep the shooter away from the post. But again, didn't seize the opportunities. Really low scoring game, actually, with only 2 minutes to go. Yeah, absolutely. Any high ball like that needs to be intercepted. And it was a great intercept. Well away from the attackers, so cleanly taken. But again, let's see if they score from this. And again, you know, ball goes out of court and they've had their opportunities. Going to be interesting to see their coaching staff at halftime. Not sure what I don't understand what she was pointing to. And that actually cost her a 3-second call. You can only hold on to the ball for up to 3 seconds. So I don't know what she's pointing at, and that's not her concern. It's the umpire's concern, really. Again, a good hold. Absolutely.
She's quite strong on that hold.
Yeah. But again, ball just didn't have enough height on the shot, but still Bay of Island throw-in. Good rebound. Height. Good shot. It shouldn't even touch the front of the ring at all. And really, old Kat Lautu, she would have known that. Great shooter, Kat Lautu. Clever player too, really clever player. Just at times, some of her passing caught players unaware because she's thinking so far ahead of them. But just a wonderful person to coach.
And the ball comes at 100 miles an hour. Unless you're watching, you'll wear it.
I know, but isn't it great just to have that unpredictability? No, I love, she was great. And I do hope she comes back into netball.
I'm sure she won't be lost.
Now got a situation, yeah, Auckland Dio, yeah, really hesitant. Absolutely, and you were saying it before, when they just let the ball go, it's fine. This is a held ball. Time's up, 15-9 to Bay of Islands. They'll be happy with that score, but they won't be happy with their overall performance, and that's what it should be about as well. It's about striving for perfection. So, be interesting to see what they're going to do now at half-time, just how they're going to call it. Are they going to make subs, or are they going to let this team bring it through? And a final, generally speaking, you would have played most of your players throughout the week. Final, they've got them into this situation. The winning team I'm talking about, they've got themselves into this situation. So in a way, you want them to finish it off as well, unless, of course, there's an injury or someone just isn't giving, and I was going to say 100%, but even 80%. Sometimes you can live with players. An 80%er is often still worthy because they have that pride and that determination still because they have been through the process. And right now, Auckland Dio, they're going to look at this. Do they make changes or do they just make corrections? I actually think they just need to make some corrections, to their game. If you have a look at it, it isn't one player that's doing badly or any one player that's doing well. So I think it's just about their team confidence probably more than anything else. Yeah, one change being made by the Bay of Island College. Hafe's going into wing defence. And hey, interesting, she was goal attack to start with. So interesting that, hang on a minute, take it back. There are two players with the same surname, so not sure which one has gone to wing defence out of the two of them. So I'm sure once we're out on court, we'll get to see it.
No, it was obviously a sister that was on at goal attack.
Right. Yeah, they're in a situation they can make a change anyway, just as a change up. And it's interesting. Sometimes coaches make lots of changes, in one quarter. I think that's sometimes a difficult thing to do because you just need that settling down time. And normally, if you just bring one person into it, settle them in, because the way the substitution rule is now, is basically unlimited subs. It's quite easy to bring players on now during a quarter, which probably wasn't the case in the past, in years gone by. Auckland Dio, Cooper has now gone from the goal attack to the goal shooting position, and Dryden, they've just had a total reversal. Dryden has now gone to goal attack. I find that interesting sometimes because they actually could have played the other way around anyway within the game. It's only the centre pass off, obviously, where the goal shooter can't come across, but there's no reason why you couldn't do an interplay. But they felt that this was necessary, and now Ngatai has gone into the wing attack position, and she wasn't on the court to start with. Yeah, again, situation, Auckland Dio wasn't going with their first option that was there. They look at a player and then they say, is there a better option? Listen, if a player's free, just give her the ball. And so Bay of Islands have capitalised on this, and they will certainly want to score from it. There was a triangle play where, again, it goes out to the circle edge and then back into the shooter. And again, now to a holding shooter. And notice most of their shots have been quite close shots as well. And why not? They have a great holding game. And so that's, they basically utilise their strengths. Their centre pass off, so an opportunity to get an easy 2 goals lead from what they already had. 17-9 at the moment. Their contact called. The opportunity for Auckland Diocesan. But again, look how the ball's being held up, in the defensive third. And you can say it's really good defence from Bay of Island College. And they are doing very good defence, but it's also hesitation on the part of Auckland Dio. Yeah, misdirected pass. Auckland Dio sent a pass off. They'll certainly want to capitalise on this. They certainly need to nail it in this quarter. They need to, I mean, they're 18-9 down. They really need to, get momentum in this quarter. Eight goals is not impossible, but they'll certainly need to start doing it this quarter. But at the moment, yeah, Bay of Islands really is the dominant team out on court.
They're also taking the opportunities as they arise, so they're just picking up the loose ball and
Yeah, it's not like Auckland Dio hasn't been provided with opportunities, but they just need to start looking. And again, it's a better pass. At least they looked up court, and they're now looking long. That's just too long against that defensive unit. I mean, the longer the ball stays in the air, the easier the intercept becomes. There are times when certainly you look long, and that's when there's crowding on the court. But there are other times when you just need to keep that ball in hand. And they've had their opportunities. They've had a lot of possession. I think that was a breaking call, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah.
And again, that's shouldn't happen. And again, they've got possession. Let's see if they can utilise it this time. Good tip from behind. And what was great is the umpires allowed it. Sometimes umpires say, well, it's not possible to do. But, she was 3 feet away and she came through cleanly. So good umpiring. Oh, stepping call called. And again, she was busy looking for a player to pass the ball to and just forgot about the basics. Hey, another turnover.
They're certainly picking up more than their fair odds.
Yeah.
Maybe not more than their fair share, but they're certainly picking up at least their fair share.
And that's so frustrating, particularly as a coach when you're sitting on the sideline, when you're saying you're getting the possession, and it's not just that the shooters aren't shooting the goals, they're losing it on attack at the moment. Contact called. Yeah. That's hard to defend because again we've got the holding shooter. You see the hold right there, and defender will be penalised. Very, very hard to do. And you tend to, when you've got a holding shooter, you tend to get really close to them, and that's the worst thing you can do because that's going to draw the umpire's attention.
Oh, nice pass.
Really interesting then, you heard Catherine Latu on the sideline going, play it up high, play it up high. And it's about a higher shot.
Bay of Islands are really starting to take control of this game now with an 11-goal lead.
Actually, Dio hasn't had a shot for a while, haven't And if you look at the shooting stats, you can say, oh, we just didn't have the shot. No, didn't get it into the shooters, and that often happens. It's not about your shooters at all. It's about actually getting that ball through the midcourt. And they have, like you say, they've had a lot of possession. Great pass in and well rewarded.
It's just good to see those feeders with their heads up looking through for that pass as well.
They've got some good skills, actually. Actually, both teams have got some good skills. But again, having to look for a player. Someone now needs to be close to the ball. And again, you hear the sideline go around, and in the meantime, though, unfortunately, Scott Harty actually gets penalised. Is Latu still on a goal defence? Because that's Catherine Latu's niece. I think she might still be on it. Goal defence, actually, yeah.
Yes, she is. What's really nice to see is some depth being built within Bay of Islands again. So traditionally they were a very strong team and were an A-grade team and even went to secondary school finals. So it's really nice to see that they're sort of consolidated again and sort of making their way back up and playing some good netball.
I was just going to say, I know that ball went out of court in the goal third, but it actually was a centre pass that wasn't touched in the centre third, which means that the penalty is taken just outside the transverse line. So, and I thought, I was sure that wasn't touched, and so that's why the umpire made the correction.
I'd really like to see Auckland Dio just release that ball a lot quicker. Should be giving that 1 or 2 seconds an opportunity for the defence to come around.
Like they complained then, like they questioned the umpire, but because the Bay of Islands defender tipped the ball basically, but then you could turn that around and say, well, play the ball into the space or play it directly to the person, and to avoid that really.
Bay of Islands really playing with some confidence now and just letting the ball go.
The thing is, like, they're leading 25-13, so you can say, well, they're provided with that opportunity. But it's a shame that players don't have the confidence to do that from the start. So some of these players, maybe they are still score-driven. Oh, that was a missed opportunity as time has called. But saying is that, some of these players, are they looking to a score rather than looking at how they're playing? Because, you can, like right now, Bay of Islands, absolutely, they can just let that ball go. It doesn't matter if something gets tipped. Not really, not with a score going that much in their favour. But they should be prepared to do that irrespective. See, now you've got a situation that Auckland Dio, they need to get lots of intercepts to have any chance of actually getting straight back into this game. But if they go for intercepts, they could actually leave the players free, which means that then Bay of Islands will obviously make it a lot easier for themselves. It's a real fine line. But now you can also say to Auckland Dio, forget the score, just go out there and really show what you're capable of, and just relax and just play. And you can see there's so many unforced errors that they're doing. They're not backing each other up, and I'm sure that throughout the week that is what they have done. It wouldn't be here otherwise, So they just need to just relax and go into it. Bay of Islands have made another change. Norman has now come on. Back on in the wing defence position. So they must have had a change. Yes, they did. Happy came on, and now, Norman's come back on. So just having a few, just what I call minor tactical changes, I suppose, and maybe with a slight injury or there's very little between the two players, or they provide something different. Sometimes you can make a substitution, and a player that's coming off may not have done anything wrong, but you may just want a slightly different style of play. Often, like in the shooting circle, you may have a shooter, for instance, that can shoot long, or you may have a shooter that really has a tremendous hold, and that makes a difference. And same with a moving shooter versus a stationary shooter, and that's where team changes are often made. Auckland Dio, on the other hand, going into this final quarter, have made some substitution. Cooper has gone from goal attack to wing attack. Natai, she must be fresh on. She has now come on at goalkeeper. And Otai has gone to goal shooter. So Dryden has come off. So again, they're in a situation, either, play their other players, or they've got to come up with something different. If they couldn't come up with something different with the players on court, they've had 3 quarters in order to do that. So I guess the coaches now said, okay, let's give some others the opportunity. And again, just not enough height on that shot. Better.
A wee bit casual there.
I don't have a problem with the short passing at all, so long as they just keep that ball moving. But they've got to capitalise from it. I was going to say there's a lot of ball to be taken there. See the situation? The shooter was asking for the ball, and initially it wasn't going to be given. And I've spoken to shooters, when they go begging for the ball, how do you feel if it's not given to you? And the replies aren't favourable. Let's just leave it at that. And I'm going, why don't you give it back to them? And sometimes they say, we can see a better pass. How can there be a better pass when you know there is no one marking her in front? So the other player must have 2 people on her. I just find that really interesting when players do that.
It's interesting they want to look for the hard options when there's actually one sitting right in front of them.
(27:15), 7.5 minutes to go. So obviously Bay of Islands looking at a pretty good position. I think that was a held ball. That was a quick held ball.
It was a very quick held ball. But once again, that hesitation sort of makes the umpire sort of think, what's going on?
How was that for a long pass into the shooter? But she caught it, she's got good hands. But I find it interesting, often when a shooter gets a ball, and if it's stressed at all, they normally have trouble with the shot. And maybe it's just that they just need to tone it down, But if they actually get an easy quality ball from someone, it results in a shot. That's 2 missed shots she's had now. She won't be happy with that. And the face says it all.
Caution being issued there.
The goalkeeper trying to get around, but just too good a hold. And that's when you can't work in isolation. But if one player obviously is penalised, you have no choice on that one. So now I find that interesting, that defensive work that they're doing. To me, that is contact. I mean, they really are contacting the other shooter. Give credit to the two shooters. They're looking after each other. And I just find it interesting that you can still clobber one of those shooters trying to defend the shot. Shouldn't be allowed. It's good to see that Auckland Dio haven't given up. They're still really playing it. They just need to get rid of some of those unforced errors in this final 5 minutes of the game. They really want to finish the season off on a bit of a high. I mean, they're not going to win this game, but they still could have it, the last 5 minutes just show their true worth. Doesn't want to shoot.
I'm sure they'll be disappointed with their performance for this game so far. They really had high hopes of winning this final.
How have the injuries been throughout this whole week? That's always been an issue. Well, it's being an issue in the press at the moment. So I just noticed a player in a boot at the moment. So I just wondered what are the issues with regards to that.
There have been a fairly high number of injuries. I think in the first couple of days there was about 30 injuries a day that were treated in the sports injury clinic here. On yesterday, Thursday, day 4, it was 55. I found out this morning, so it was really high. A lot of them are only sprains and things like that, but there have been a few broken wrists and a couple of ACLs and a dislocated patella and things like that. So not ideal. Really important that they do their recovery and also just do any rehab that needs to be done over some months.
Yeah, and I think teams are starting to do that better. The recovery, the stretching before and after, and again, that's a learning process, and they've also appreciate they've got to utilise their downtime really well. That's when the recovery between games as well. But some of these injuries, you can get them just in your daily life as well,
We've had Netball New Zealand Netball Smart staff here all week also, just working with teams and assessing their warm-ups and cool-downs and things like that. So there's plenty of education going on in that space. I'm pretty sure that all 5 zones throughout the country have actually got Netball Smart funded by ACC to work in that space.
Well, contact called well off the ball. See how quick that ball gets down there to their shooters, isn't it? Actually, this is the first, isn't it? Like a so-called injury timeout where you're having players change. I think most of the substitutions have been made at the end of each quarter. Yeah. And I suppose with 10-minute quarters, you wouldn't do it very often. Okay, this is Bay of Islands. This is an opportunity now. 2.5 minutes to go. It's just to give the rest of their players time out on court because, like you said earlier, this is their final game of the season for some, and so it's a situation that let's just finish with everyone being out on court and giving them opportunities. And when you're 32-19 or 33-19 up, I mean, obviously you can afford to do that, but it places those players that have come onto the court not in a pressure situation. They can just go out there and enjoy the game with their fellow teammates.
And also for Bay of Islands, just looking at a couple of their players, they could even be their youngsters, and it's just about them experiencing what it is to play in a final. It can only be a benefit in the future.
Yeah, people say you can do lots of learning from the bench, but nothing beats actually being out on court. Actually, while this was going on, even Auckland Dio made a change. Didn't didn't see that change coming. Flood's come on in the wing defence position. I think that might be a fairly recent call. Anyway, she's come on in the wing defence position. Bay of Islands, well, there's major changes. Like I said, they've brought all their bench players. Well, I hate calling the word bench players. The players that weren't out on court, they've now come on the court. Some have re-entered the court as well. So it's nice to see that they're finishing off, obviously, giving all their players an opportunity. 1 minute to go.
Nice shot from one of the new players coming on. Oh no, she's been on court for this quarter, I think.
Good to see they're playing right to the end. I mean, you've got a lead of 33 to 22. You know you've got the game won, but, they're still really trying hard. And again, same with Diocesan. They've just got ball in hand. They want to make sure, 5 seconds to go. It ain't going to get there. Well, I was almost proven wrong there. Yeah, but that second player realised the time, and that's why I had to put the long bomb in, but it was still a situation that was going to be tough. And I was just taking into account the fact that they really weren't doing long passes at all. So, yeah, a well-deserved victory to the Bay of Islands.